our contract was awarded, or expenditure to purchase tablets for schools. So if you ever have a question for a government minister, try asking through your MP. After all, that's why they're your political representatives. They should represent your questions and concerns to the government. Tool number 3, parliamentary debates. When cabinet ministers present the government's proposals for new policies, laws, and programs, parliamentary debates allow both opposition and government MPs to air concerns, make suggestions, and endorse proposals. If you ever watch those debates, you know they can get a little fiery. But the debate is important, as it informs decisions and continues until a vote is taken on the way forward. Then we have tool number 4, parliamentary committees. The general sittings of Parliament are not always sufficient for detailed examination of government work, so oversight committees are formed using government and opposition members to do just that. Some committees like the PAC and the PAAC are in place for an entire parliamentary term. Their job is to monitor the use of public funds to find ways to increase value and efficiency while reducing waste and corruption. Cabinet and state ministers are not appointed to oversight committees since they are a part of the government. Some committees are formed when a need arises. For example, joint select committees are formed to review draft policies or legislation or to probe other matters of serious national importance. Members of these committees are both opposition and government MPs and senators, and these committees will usually invite citizens to share their opinions, concerns, and recommendations. So there you have it, 4 accountability tools of Parliament that are used to make sure government run right. Visit jampja.org to find contact information for your MP. Invite them to meet with the community so they can better represent your issues and concerns in Parliament and keep government accountable. Get involved and let's make Jamaica land we love, Jamaica land we own, and Jamaica land we run well. A message from the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, funded by the European Union and the Inter-American Development Bank in partnership with the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica.
Apply to the Heart NSTA Trust. Learn a new skill and expand your horizons. Your government has made it completely free to you. Jamaicans, practice proper disposal of garbage, and if items can be reused, recycle them. We all have a part to play in protecting our environment from pollution. We are building Jamaica.
Can you imagine getting a marketable skill for free? Your government has made it possible for anyone wanting to learn a skill to get free training through the Heart NSTA Trust. Learn a new skill and expand your horizons. Heart NSTA Trust now offers a $100,000 grant to heart-trained individuals running businesses for over a year. They'll also assist with business planning, marketing, skill enhancement, and other support. Your government is building a caring economy for you.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
We care about our minimum wage earners. That is why we increased the minimum from the previous increase of 13,000 to now 15,000. And as our economy continues to improve, you can look forward to even more increases. Your government is caring for you.
Every student attending Heart NSTA Trust under the New Care Initiative will get $15,000 each month to help cover their travel expenses to the Heart School they're attending and get an extra $13,000 each week while they're training.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
Tell me something. How much time you ever hear the government announce a project and wonder why they must spend millions on this and not on that? Well, if you think there's nothing you can do about how your money is spent, think again. Jamaica's budget is more than just numbers. It reveals our biggest problems and goals, our plans to fix them, and what to prioritize. We can even call it a promise book of what will be done to improve our lives. Now, let's talk about the 4 stages of the budget cycle so we can understand how it works and get involved. Stage 1. Planning and review. The Ministry of Finance sends out a budget call to every ministry, which outlines the priorities and constraints to guide how those ministries prepare their budget. After ministries submit their drafts, the Finance Ministry reviews, compiles, and sends them to Cabinet for review and approval. Stage 2. Parliamentary debate and approval.
The Finance Minister tables all budget documents in the House of Representatives. The Standing Finance Committee, which is all 63 MPs, sits to examine the budget documents, and each minister presents their budget and answers concerns the committee has. The committee's report is then tabled in the House, followed by the estimated expenditure, which is tabled as legislation, called the Appropriations Bill. That's right, the budget of Jamaica is law. The budget debate formally opens. We have presentations from the Minister of Finance, the Prime Minister, Opposition Leader, and the Shadow Finance Minister. After their presentations, our MPs vote for or against approval. Like all legislation, it goes to the Senate for their approval and then to the Governor General for his royal assent. No later than March 31st, end of the financial year. Stage 3, implementation. The new financial year begins and approved budgets are sent to ministries. Collecting taxes, borrowing loans, and receiving grants begin. And so does the spending. Stage 4, budget oversight. Now, this is where citizens don't need permission to get involved. Throughout the year, operations and spending are assessed by internal auditors and the Auditor General's department that makes sure public entities are compliant with laws and that their financial reports are accurate. All Auditor General reports are submitted to our Parliament's Public Accounts Committee for review and cross-examination of public officials. The Ministry of Finance, Integrity Commission, and MOCA also monitor government spending to guard against poor financial management and corruption. It is our job to review these reports, check the findings in the newspaper, and look up if breaches are fixed at jampja.org. If not, ask your MP what he or she has done to ensure public officials are held to account. No more 9-day wonders. So, did the government follow through on their spending and investment promises last year? What promises will next year's budget have? How will they affect you, and how can you ensure that you get what is promised? For access to the national budget, check out JAMP's easy digital version and contact info for your MP at jampja.org. Then link your MP and see what progress is being made throughout the entire budget cycle. Support JAMP. Let's do our job to make Jamaica land we love, Jamaica land we own, and Jamaica land we run well. A message from the Jamaica Accountability Meter Portal, funded by the Europe.
We, thine unworthy servants, here gathered together in thy name, do most humbly beseech thee to send down thy heavenly wisdom from above to direct and guide us in all our consultations. And grant that, we having thy fear always before our eyes, and laying aside all private interests, prejudices, and partial affections, the result of all our counsels may be to the glory of thy blessed name, the maintenance of true religion and justice, the safety, honor, and happiness of the king, the public weal, peace, tranquility of the island, and the uniting and knitting together of the hearts of all persons and estates within the same, in true Christian love and charity towards one another, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Please be seated. This honorable House now resumes its sitting. Call of the roll.
Ajani Campbell, Akeem Campbell, Akeelia Dennis, Alicia Cockett, Alicia Anderson, Ashari Rod, Ayoka Davis, Brittany Simpson, Kalia Cowan, Kassan Kohal, Dacia Little, Damaria Hutchinson, Danila Irvin, Deandra Irvin, Daniela Wright, Dejane Fagan, Delroy Sparks, Devonia Lawson, Xavier Winstanley, Dominic Nash, Daniel Bryan, Florence Frankson, Gavion Marshall, Janelia Darien, Javon Dubidad, Jadine Bell, John Mark Houghton, Jordan Forrest, Julia Ivy, Justin Allen, Khadija Baker, Kalia Bryan, Karina Gale, Carlisa Peart, Kenneth Roy Clark, Kimish McGregor, Kimberly Sims, Kirk Simpson, Laurel Williams, Nashe Baker, Nandrik Hibbert, Olayinka Samon, O'Shane Morrison, Patrice Clayton, Philroy Huslin, Paris Lawrence, Raisha Brown, Sarah D. Francis, Sean Phillips, Shamar Squire, Shamar Ricketts, Shantana Sibley, Shavoy Cunningham, Shanice Peku, Tashwania Buchanan, Tevoy Morrison, Xavier Campbell, Yanissa Simpson.
House Leader.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move for the suspension of the sitting to enable us to hear remarks and greetings from parliamentary and other representatives.
The question is that the sitting be suspended to enable us to hear remarks and greetings from parliamentary and other representatives. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Please welcome Ms. Colleen Lowe, Clerk to the Houses.
Senator the Honorable Thomas Tavares Finson, President of the Senate, Most Honorable Juliet Holness, Speaker of the House of Representatives, who is not yet here, Honorable Delroy Chuck, Minister of Justice, who is also not present, Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, Senator Gabriela Morris, Opposition Spokesperson on Youth and Civic Engagement, who is also not present, Dr. Kassan Troop, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, Mr. Dennis Zulu, Resident Coordinator from the United Nations, Ms. Shanique Bowden, Executive Director of the Youth Advocacy Network, Mr. Orville Levy, Co-Chair, National Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica, members of the 15th National Youth Parliament of Jamaica, members of staff of the Houses of Parliament, and the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, members of the media, distinguished guests, it is a true honor to welcome you all to the 15th sitting of the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica. We are incredibly honored and proud to collaborate with the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information to bring this important occasion to reality. Today, we have the exciting opportunity to witness our young people in action, engaging in meaningful debates on issues that not only impact their personal development, but also the progress of our nation as a whole. The theme for this year, Youth Impact 2024, Innovative Minds, Purposeful Action, Collective Triumphs, perfectly encapsulates the essence of what we hope to achieve: the development of creative, timely, and well thought out solutions that bring about positive transformations for both individuals and society. Events like this provide our youth or future leaders a platform to demonstrate their awareness of the pressing issues affecting youth empowerment and development. You have shown that you're not only conscious of these challenges, but have taken the time to consider their root causes, and more importantly, you're ready to propose practical, actionable solutions that will benefit all. The choice to address topics such as the constitutional reform process speaks volumes about your understanding of national priorities and your commitment to contributing to your country's growth and advancement. We, here at the Houses of Parliament, are extremely proud to have played a role in preparing you for this occasion today. As you engage in the debates, I encourage you to apply the lessons that you have learned about parliamentary procedures and the importance of courtesy and civility, not just here, but in all areas of your lives. I look forward to your thoughtful presentations and insightful contributions. I have no doubt that your discussions will enrich the national conversation and help shape the future of our country. Once again, welcome to today's proceedings. I wish you all a successful and productive session. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lowe. I now invite Mr. Orville Levy, co-chair of the National Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica.
Allow me to adopt the protocol that has already been established. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, specially invited guests, members of the public joining us here and online, members of the 15th sitting of the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica, good morning. Today I stand before you bristling with pride as we celebrate a bright future of our nation. This, the 15th sitting of the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica, is poised to make an impact on the constitutional evolution of our country, an impact on the health and well-being of our youth, an impact on social justice landscape of this nation, and an impact that will propel Jamaica even further into the digital age. Youth Parliamentarians, you are a big deal. Give yourselves a round of applause. The culmination of your collective efforts, dedication, and activism over the past year have been nothing short of inspiring. Allow me to extend the Advisory Council's heartfelt gratitude for not just for your presence, but also for your practice. As the technical coordinators for this remarkable sitting, we brim with pride at the tireless efforts of you, our youth parliamentarians. From the underground consultations that you have done across the island, from parish to parish, counties to county, and now today, the policy recommendation that is rooted in those data that you have collected for the issues of the day is nothing short of extraordinary. As you articulate these motions today within your thematic areas, know that the Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica stands steadfastly committed to championing your recommendations with fervor. Youth parliamentarians, let us take a moment to express our deepest gratitude to the Youth, Adolescent, and Policy Division in the Ministry of Education, Skill, Youth, and Information. The Houses of Parliament, Jamaica, the workshop facilitators, certainly, and of course my dream team, the co-chairs and the county supports. My able deputy, Mr. Andrew Johnson, Dr. Tony and Mundell, Miss Yannick Mendez, Miss Angeli Henry Finnell, and my able co-chair, who is not here today, Miss Yannick Tracy. Their tireless efforts, along with you through your consultations, your projects, and your preparation, is well deserved. They are unsung heroes. My fellow Jamaicans, we stand at a unique inflection point in our history. Democracy thrives when everyone participates, when everyone is invested, and when we all consider that our youths will inherit this future. Proverbs 13:22 reminds us that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children. So let us strive to create and leave behind a nation worth inheriting. Let us champion our youth not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's challenging. Let us support initiatives that pave the way for the success of our youths. So much so in areas of home ownership, policies for greater technological inclusion and governance, and infrastructure designed for the families of tomorrow. To the youths watching us here and online, my charge to you is this: take bold steps to innovate, to think critically, to envision a future beyond the horizon we see today. A thriving democracy requires your active engagement, ensuring that the decisions that shape our nation reflects the dreams and the aspiration of our people. By staying informed, involved, and invested, you reinforce the foundation of a resilient and a prosperous Jamaica. As I told a group of you over the weekend, let us let every disappointment lead to your appointment. Let us let every trial lead to your triumph. And let us let every problem propel you to your purpose. As I close, I extend my best wishes for your successful deliberations today. I have immense confidence in each and every one of you ability to make an impact. Remember, this is not only the beginning, but just stay committed to the path that you're on and continue to play your part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. God bless you, and God bless Jamaica land with love.
Thank you for your encouraging words, Mr. Levy. Please welcome Mr. Dennis Zulu, UN Resident Coordinator.
Good morning. Senator, the Honorable Thomas Tavares Finson, President of the Senate, the Most Honorable Juliet Holness, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, other members of the House of Representatives, ambassadors here present, senior government officials here present, heads of academia, Ms. Colleen Law, Clerk of the House of Representatives, Mr. Orville Levy, Co-Chair, National Youth Advisory Council, Youth Parliamentarians, members of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I bring you warm greetings on behalf of the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, and the United Nations country team in Jamaica. Jamaica's youth and the meaningful engagement remain a priority for the UN system. Youth 2030, our global youth strategy, strongly complements Jamaica's national youth policy, and as such provides a framework for how the United Nations is guided into serving Jamaica's youth. Accordingly, we believe that the National Youth Parliament plays an important role in stimulating young people's interest and participation in Jamaica's democracy by learning directly how the system works. At the UN, we see the National Youth Parliament as a model for youth participation worthy of replication all over the world. To the youth, your partners, your facilitators, and your government, you deserve to give yourselves a round of applause. The United Nations, through UNAIDS and its partnership with the US President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, PEPFAR, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and the Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network, JYAN, are therefore very delighted to support and join you for this year's sitting. Empowering and working with young people is a key focus of the United Nations. In 2022, we developed a comprehensive youth engagement action plan aligned with the timeline of the United Nations' current cooperation framework, with youth leadership and meaningful youth engagement as key focus areas to strengthen this focus further. We are committed to fostering deeper and more meaningful inclusion of young people across UN agencies, funds, and programs, including providing resources and support to young people and their organizations to help Jamaica achieve its Vision 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goals. So far, because of our efforts this year, UN Jamaica was recognized in the Global Youth Progress Report 2024 for making the most progress in meaningful youth engagement across the Caribbean. We also are among the top 2 progressors globally for meaningful youth engagement among 132 UN country teams alongside UN Mozambique. As part of this thrust and our commitment to young people, we announced last week, after a rigorous application process, the selection of 15 dynamic young people who will serve as the first UN Youth Advisory Group in Jamaica, some of which I see here today. This initiative that underscores our shared commitment to amplifying the voices of young people in shaping the UN's work in Jamaica. Youth leaders, I commend you for dedicating your time to becoming youth parliamentarians, a process that did not begin today, but required several training workshops, implementing local projects and taking this bold step, which often meant added work in addition to school and missing fun days with your peers and friends. Your being here today is not only testament to your commitment to democracy, sustainable development, and the Vision 2030 Jamaica, but also to your willingness to serve a bigger purpose beyond yourselves. Passionate young people like you inspire me and remind us that our future is in good hands. You are our present, the future, and a part of the movement that will help make Jamaica become the place of choice to live, work, and do business and raise families. The motions being discussed today around constitutional reform, digital transformation, for improved public policy, non-communicable diseases, human rights and social justice, and HIV prevention among young people are of interest to the United Nations. These topics relate to some of our core projects with the people and government of Jamaica. The diversity of the motions gives me hope that Jamaican youth understand that human rights, social justice, and good health and well-being are pillars of sustainable development. On this day, which is the beginning of the International Day of the Elimination of Violence Against Women and Girls, marking 16 days of activism, these discussions are indeed critical. Without addressing these issues that you have selected to debate today, the Sustainable Development Goals and Vision 2030 Jamaica will be out of reach. So I commend you for wholeheartedly volunteering and being so committed to leadership. You are an inspiration to children and youth across the length and breadth of Jamaica. Lastly, let me commend the government of Jamaica through the Ministry of Education, Youth Skills and Information for its continued support of young people's development by creating spaces like this one to build capacity in gender democratic participation and contribute to achieving development priorities. On behalf of the United Nations in Jamaica, let me again reiterate the commitment of the United Nations family to partnering with all of you to drive youth progress by opening doors to opportunities and empowering you to work together to leave a lasting legacy of resilience and hope for future generations. Youth Speaker of the House, Youth MPs, we are cheering for you. I eagerly anticipate the valuable debates and that will rise from the parliamentarian session. Be proud and be strong. From Jamaica to the world, we're echoing your voices, and I wish you all the best, and I thank you.
Thank you for your kind words, Mr. Zulu. Please welcome Ms. Shanique Bowden, Executive Director, Jamaica Youth Advisory Network.
Yes. Good morning. bit vertically challenged. So by way of correction, Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network, allow me to adopt the protocols which have been established, though it would be remiss of me not to send special acknowledgement to the Minister, who I had the pleasure of meeting with this morning and speaking briefly. So on behalf of the Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network, JAN, I am pleased to bring greetings to you all. Our remarks today are twofold. We wish to emphasize one of gratitude for meaningful partnerships, and we also wish to advance a call to action. We extend our absolute gratitude to the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information for the partnership on the 15th sitting of the Youth Parliament. I think I speak for myself and Shanil Allen, who's in the gallery, who spent the last few days with the Youth Parliamentarians, working and engaging with you on your speeches and your motions, when I say it was an absolute delight to have met and worked with all of you. Congratulations on all your hard work, and we're really looking forward to see the meaningful debates and recommendations that will be coming out in today's sitting. Minister, I forgot to mention it earlier, but to you and your team, please note that I may need to borrow some of your excellent young people to advance the work of JAN, because we were really impressed with some of the quality that we were seeing. There's no doubt in my mind that you will do well, and you will do well in your speeches and in the overall execution of this sitting of the Honorable House. I do agree that this is an amazing cohort, which I think is second only to mine in 2016. To our policymakers, both here in Parliament today and those tuning in online, the call to action is for you. I do not think I need to emphasize the importance of today, as I imagine everyone here is acutely aware. While the sitting of the Youth Parliament is a one-day event, the issues that will be debated are not new. They did not materialize over the weekend when we worked assiduously through the night to craft our positions. These are very real issues which will have long-lasting effects if we don't take action now. I have my biases as we continue to champion the cause for the finalization of the school nutrition policy, but each of the 5 motions require our immediate attention. My charge to our policymakers: do not just listen keenly, but take notes of the strong recommendations and suggestions which will be advanced today, and turn those notes into action. Continue to engage these brilliant young minds to bring these ideas to life. When we meet again a year from today, we should not still be debating these issues, as our policymakers will have demonstrated a concentrated effort to realize the rights of Jamaica's youth. And in that breath, I reaffirm JAN's commitment to work with our policymakers on these and other issues within our mandate. We have a long day ahead of us, but we are looking forward to the discussions today. But more importantly, we are looking forward to action and change. We are looking forward to a better Jamaica for Jamaica's children and young people. Thank you for having me, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you, Ms. Bowden. Please welcome Senator the Honorable Tom Tavares Finson, KC, President of the Senate.
Morning all. You know, the Prime Minister has given a direction that if we were to leave out all the greetings that we gave at every meeting, it would save considerable time that could be invested in the country's development. So we have been instructed to reduce the greetings, but at the same time, there are certain things I have to do. Madam Speaker, members of the Youth Parliament, welcome to the House of Parliament of this country, Jamaica, land we love. And I must also welcome, of course, the clerk and the Minister of Education, both of whom could be sitting here as youth parliamentarians, because they certainly look the part. As part of my special welcome as well, I want to say hello to the Genesis Academy. Would you wave to me? And teachers, very special welcome to you all, and thank you for coming.
recognize that this Parliament is yours. It is yours as Jamaicans, and you are always welcome here. It's a pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of the Senate of Jamaica to this, the 15th sitting of the National Youth Parliament. And I've had the pleasure of being here before. And I must say that over the years, in many spheres, persons have come up to me and said, you know, Mr. Tavares, for instance, I was in this Youth Parliament and I met you for the first time. Many people in the courts who have gone into law and persons who have gone into various professions. So I know that what I'm looking at is the cream of the Jamaican youth. And it is a pleasure to see you here. So today we celebrate not just your presence, but your potential, your passion, your purpose, and your impact on future generations, as one of the previous speakers has mentioned. This year's theme, Youth Impact 2024, Innovative Minds, Purposeful Action, Collective Triumphs, perfectly captures the essence of what you represent. A generation determined to lead, to innovate, and to create lasting change. As President of the Senate, I'm here to remind you that this Parliament in which you assemble today is not just symbolic. It is a platform for you to speak without fear or favor, and where your ideas and your solutions take center stage. Your unique perspectives are not only appreciated, they are essential to crafting future policies and strategies that will propel Jamaica towards growth, greater unity, and prosperity. Now, one of the things that I want to point out to you is that you come and sit here and you look at the Parliament. I'm sure if it is the first time that you have been here, you say to yourself, I didn't realize it was so small, right? I didn't realize the space that I'm sitting in was so restricted. But I want you to understand that it is a historic building. Every important event in Jamaica's history from independence to now have been discussed right in the walls of this chamber. Where you are sitting, sat Bustamante, Sangster, shortest serving Prime Minister of Jamaica. So sat there Michael Manley, Hugh Shearer, Portia Simpson, right where you are sitting, you know. Portia Simpson, P.J. Pattison, Edward Seaga, and the youngest Prime Minister in the history of the country, born after Jamaica's independence, the first Prime Minister, sit right there, sir, the Most Honorable Dr. Michael Andrew Holness. So understand what I'm telling you. Every important decision that you either read about or hear about, right in this chamber, right in that chair. Norman Manley sat right there when Bustamante was over there discussing our independence. You get what I'm saying to you? The state of emergency in 1976 declared right there, sir. So I want you to get, as you put your hand on the desk, you can feel it. Feel the importance of what you are doing and get an understanding of how important and critical your role is. But Marcus Garvey said you cannot understand your future and where you are unless you understand your past. Breathe in the history of this place. God, them sit down right over there and feel the same vibe that you are feeling in this Parliament. And I want you to get an understanding of that and recognize that you are, I don't want to use the word you are in hallowed ground, but you are in a historical chamber. And I'm going to repeat it for the last time. Every important decision, when Michael Manley declared free education, it was done right there. When Edward Seaga made presentations about South Africa and the need for Jamaica to stop trading and the world to stop trading with South Africa, it was done right there. Right here in this chamber. As little as you see it. Most important, as a matter of fact, every important decision that has taken place in Jamaica from independence was done right where you are seated, or right where this second chair here that's empty. So I wanted to recognize the importance of what you are doing. Youth Month 2024 is more than a celebration. It is a call to action. A call to every one of us in this chamber and beyond to play our part. We, the older generation, I guess I'm the only one now who couldn't fit in the Youth Parliament. We recognize and invest in the unlimited potential of Jamaicans' youth. And I want to point out something else to you. You know that I was speaking to someone recently who works with kids who have difficulties, as many of us do, and require some sort of guidance and assistance. And the person was saying to me, you know, that this is a professional psychologist. And the person was saying to me that this is the first time in 30 years, listen to me carefully, you know, this is the first time in 30 years that she has been dealing with kids where one of the things that she does not have to deal with is total hopelessness. And I'm not referring to you guys here who have risen to a particular level in your education and your development. But recognize that there are many other young people who are in more difficult circumstances. And the person was saying to me, it is the first time that there is not a sense of despair and hopelessness amongst the youth of this country. And I asked the reason why. And Minister, I've discussed it with you before. And the reason why, or one of the principal reasons why, and it mightn't apply to many of you, but you know persons who these programs can help. And I'm appealing to you today, if you know youngsters, get them involved in the program. And what I'm speaking about today is heart. In 2023, all tuition fees were eliminated up to level 4, which is an associate degree. All fees have been reduced. So no longer, nobody can say to you, say, boy, I might have got a heart, you know, but we can't go up to the money. There is no such barrier. And to me, this is one of the critical things that we have to look at, because our youth cannot lose hope and cannot lose faith in the system. Well, over 120,000 persons have enrolled in heart. Listen to the figure, you know. 120,000 persons have enrolled in heart since the elimination of the tuition fees. It is a very important development in this country. 2,500 school leavers over 5 years, that's sixth form and fifth form students, receive $85,000 a month for their first year job placement under the LIFT program. So the government, and I'm not speaking specifically about any government now, don't get me wrong, you know, but the government has put in a position where not only are they prepared to send you to school for higher learning free, but they are paying you to go. And even when you are required to provide things at the school, tools of trade up to a 50,000 grant for levels 4 trade graduates, and higher grants are given to those kids who aren't passed. So what the person is telling me from the university, you know, is that for the first time in the history of this country, she who has been dealing with kids for over 30 years is finding a situation where there is no longer a sense of hopelessness. And I'm appealing to you. You might not want it. You might not need it. But get to kids out there who have the capacity and they only want a little push. Get to them. So when you are here discussing questions of constitution, gender equity, when you are dealing with matters that require a certain higher level of thought, do not forget the kids who are on the corner and who now have the capacity to move on with their life and do something with themselves. Because if the majority of Jamaicans do not take advantage of the facilities, youngsters, that is offered to them, all of us will suffer in the long run. So, in closing, I laud and respect you as youth parliamentarians for your relentless drive, vision, and unwavering commitment in building a better and safer Jamaica for us all. And when the Minister of Education come to address you, you recognize that she was one of the driving forces, along with the Prime Minister, who have moved towards making educational opportunities in Jamaica. Not just something to talk about. Education is free. Not just that. Putting reality into the promise to give an opportunity to every one of us as Jamaicans because we are entitled to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President. Please welcome Mr. Odell Marsh, bringing greetings on behalf of Senator Gabriela Morris.
Good morning. Allow me to adopt the protocols already being established. The Youth Parliament of Jamaica, which is in its 15th sitting, I must say, for me, it is indeed a privilege to be able to bring greetings to the Youth Parliament, having been a member of the Youth Parliament and then gone on to be a member of the Youth Advisory Council that had oversight of the Youth Parliament. And so it is a testament to what programs like these can do for young people who are indeed determined to see a Jamaica where we all are able to succeed and grow. The parliamentary opposition stands in support of the theme for Youth Month, Youth Impact, because we believe in its entirety. And as we work together as the parliamentary opposition and the government to ensure that we create a Jamaica that is impactful and that will provide all of our citizens the opportunity to be the best that they can. We encourage you to use this platform to raise your voice, to share your concerns, and to be the solutions to the problems we face today and beyond. Though the sitting may be today and ends today, the journey and the experience that you would have gained will last for a lifetime. And so I encourage you all to go forth back to your various communities, homes, schools, and engage with those other young people who may not necessarily see Jamaica as you have seen it today and have experienced over the past few months. Be that catalyst of change. It only takes a spark to get the fire going, and be the spark that we so need to bring about real change in this country. I wish you all a great sit-in, and thank you for staying the course so that you're able to represent your families today and yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Please make welcome for Senator Dr. the Honorable Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education, Skills, Youth, and Information.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'm going to also adopt the protocols that have already been established, but I cannot stand here and not acknowledge the President of the Senate, the Honorable Tom Tavares Vinson, also Miss Colleen Lowe, the Clerk of the Houses of Parliament, and of course, the 2024 Youth Parliamentarians who are here. Good morning to you all. And similar to the President, I would like to acknowledge some of our young people who are in the gallery, students of Genesis Academy. We also note that there are members from the Randolph Lopez School of Hope who are there too. And we also have some young men who are from the St. Augustine Place of Safety for Boys. And I'm especially thankful for them being here today because special needs children and our institutions that deal with special needs children is an area that we don't treat with enough care. And we need a lot more work in that area. And so it is really wonderful to see the students and to see their teachers here. Because when we talk about inclusivity, we need to have everybody at the table. And so I'm really honored to have them here seeing you this morning and being inspired by you. And hopefully we can also inspire them also and say to them also that you too can be youth parliamentarians. And we'd love to see some of you down here in the future. So teachers, help me to make that happen, please. Now it's truly an honor to be with you this morning for yet another sitting of the Youth Parliament of Jamaica. It has only been a month since I've been in this new role, but I've always felt that our youth have an important role to play in whatever solutions we are going to find for this country. I want to thank all of the trainers, the youth empowerment officers, and members of the Youth Advisory Council for working with all of you over the last year. It was a delight to hear about the various projects you've executed in your communities in just 11 months. This and the conversations I've had with the young people I interact with daily have reminded me that our young people's energy, creativity, and innovative spirit are truly unmatched. Those qualities are essential to addressing the challenges that we face as a nation, and even more essential in achieving the ambitious goals set forth in Vision 2030. The government of Jamaica recognizes the value of our youth. That is why, unlike many countries in the Caribbean, we have a portfolio and department dedicated specifically to youth empowerment and engagement. And that's a big deal. It's a big deal. We don't see it everywhere. We know that when we engage our youth, we are tapping into a wealth of ideas, passion, and fresh perspectives. Just this morning, as I spoke to some of you, you were telling me about things you wanted to do and ideas you had, and you're not getting to do them today, but you were brilliant in those ideas. And I want to say to you, keep at it and keep harassing me too and giving me your ideas because they're very important. And you had ways of thinking of things that I had not even thought of. And that's why it's so important that you are a part of the process. Your involvement in national development cannot be overstated. And it is through your engagement that we will build the Jamaica we all aspire to. A Jamaica that is innovative, resilient, and forward-thinking. Today's 15th sitting of the National Youth Parliament is not merely about participation. It is about creating spaces where your voices are heard, where your concerns are taken seriously, and where your proposals are given the value and respect they deserve. The topics you will speak on this morning all have varying societal challenges around them and highlight the need for a responsive, progressive governance framework that injects and that is very much consistent with the challenges of the modern age. from exploring digital transformation in the context of public policy to social justice matters, from constitutional reform to addressing non-communicable diseases among youth. You're demonstrating that you're not only aware of the issues at hand, but that you're both enabled and ready to lead the charge for meaningful change. This is what excites me the most, actually, about your potential. You're not just talking about the problems, you're actually presenting solutions. And you know, in our country, we love to talk about what's wrong. It's harder to actually find solutions. And that's what you've committed to today. You're engaging in conversations about the future of our nation. Every topic you've chosen is important. And you're doing so with a level of insight and creativity that is nothing short of inspiring. Through the Youth Parliament, we have seen time and time again how committed you are to shaping national policy. And I want to commend you for boldly sharing your contributions. But your work does not end with these debates today. Your responsibility goes far beyond this chamber. Collectively, we must hold ourselves accountable. I'm charging each of you as the Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica and our Youth and Adolescent Policy Division to work to ensure that the ideas ventilated in the debate this morning are brought forward for action as appropriate. We must track the progress of these ideas as they make their way into national discussions, policy making, and even perhaps legislation right here. And let me be clear, achieving the goals that you are articulating today won't be easy. It's not going to happen overnight, but we're going to have to be resilient. And the ministry is committed to providing the resources and the platforms and facilitating the networks that will enable you to succeed in this endeavor. And I've already said it. I've already said that the boards in the Ministry of Education need to have young people on them. Your voices have to be there. Every board that the PS has given to me with a list that needs people, a young person will be appointed on there because your voices are absolutely important. We cannot be the Ministry of Youth developing solutions for tomorrow and for today and not have your voices there. And so that's a commitment I again make to all of you today. And so I want your help. I want your help in us thinking through the issues that are facing Jamaica. I want you, those of you who did not get your topic on, I want you to put your proposals on the table and get it to me so I can see what your thinking is. Your voices matter, your opinion matter to our government. So the stage is set. We're moving youth engagement from mere participation. I want you to take ownership of the policies that will affect your lives, and ownership of the future we are building together. So please take today's debates seriously. You have been selected. You have been chosen. The Lord has chosen each and every one of you to be a leader. And I want you to know that, and I want you to believe that really, really deeply. You're in this room for a purpose. There are many who would have liked to be in this room, and they are not here. And so when you're chosen, it also comes with great responsibility. And I want you to hold that responsibility. Think about all those young people from your community, from your parish, from your church community that are not here, that have not gotten the opportunities that you have gotten. And I want you to commit to doing everything you can to make this world better for them and for all the others who are not sitting in this room. You've been selected for a purpose. And so I thank all of you, and I look forward to hearing your contributions and seeing you continue on your leadership journey as we all build the Jamaica that we dream of and the prosperous Jamaica that all of us know we can actually achieve. And so God bless each and every one of you, and I wish you all the best today and all the best as you emerge into the great leaders that our country needs. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister. This honorable House please welcome the Deputy Speaker. He would like to give greetings.
Good morning, Madam Junior House Speaker, and to all the young parliamentarians who are here today. Let me say a warm welcome to this honorable House. This is where the business of the country gets done. I am standing in this position, Deputy Speaker of the House, Roy Clark, Member of Parliament for St. James Central. But really and truly, this space really is for Madam the House Speaker, Honorable Juliet Holness. Good morning. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the National Youth Parliament 2024. This forum represents the best of Jamaica youth, a generation filled with bold ideas, a strong sense of purpose, and an unwavering commitment to shaping a better future for our country. The theme this year's Parliament, Youth Impact 2024, Innovative Minds, Purposeful Action, Collective Triumphs, signifies the critical role young people play in the driving progress. You are not waiting for change to happen. You are certainly making it happen, whether it is through technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, or social change. You are proving that you have what it takes to make a difference and inspire progress. As Speaker of the House, I am genuinely impressed by your commitment to make meaningful contribution and the exemplary path you are forging. Your leadership serves as a powerful reminder of the vital roles of cooperation, creativity, and a united effort towards a common goal. A better Jamaica, the land we cherish. You are proving that when we join forces, your generation and mine, as well as our communities and policymakers, we can triumph over any challenges and achieve remarkable outcomes. This month, Youth Month 2024, represents more than a period of acknowledgement and symbolism. It embodies a transformational movement. It calls to action every Jamaican to uplift, support, and invest in the next generation. Let us ensure that your innovative ideas have the resources and the platform needed to flourish in this global space. Indeed, let us commit ourselves today to building a Jamaica where every young person has the opportunity to strive. May this 15th sitting of the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica mark a significant step towards an even brighter future, helping to shape a Jamaica in which we can all continue to take pride. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for speaking on behalf of Madam Speaker. This honorable House now resumes its sitting. Statements by ministers. Announcements.
Laid on the table of the House today are the following: Rise Up Together Mental Health Workshop, Health-Wise Practical Health for a Sustainable Future, the Big Picture campaign.
Bills brought from the Senate, petitions, papers, reports from committees, notices of motions given orally.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move, whereas Jamaica has signaled its intention to transition from a constitutional monarchy to a republican system of government, marking a significant step in the nation's constitutional reform journey. And whereas the Constitutional Reform Committee, CRC, has submitted a report was tabled as a ministry paper in Parliament in May 2024, outlining their recommendations. And whereas the government commits to a phased approach to a constitutional reform and believes that providing comprehensive information is crucial for the public to make an informed decision in the upcoming referendum. And be it resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica 2024 debate the importance of constitutional reform and processes the necessary to ensure transparency, inclusivity, and public participation in shaping Jamaica's new governance structure. And be it further resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica call upon the Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica to convey recommendations emanating from this debate to the Constitutional Reform Committee and the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, urging the government to prioritize youth involvement, public education initiatives, and structured dialogue to guide a successful and equitable reform process. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move. Whereas the government is leading Jamaica through the 5th Industrial Revolution, requiring a focus on collaboration between its citizens and advanced technologies, and whereas the country has emphasized the strategic importance of using technology to drive productivity gains, and whereas the nation has had to deal with increased challenges concerning data protection, cybercrimes, and cyber fraud, be it resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica 2024 debate the creation of policy to take into consideration the benefits of the use of technology to drive productivity gains, whilst considering the challenges of the use of technology that impact on the national security and productivity. And be it further resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica call upon the Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica to make recommendations from this debate to the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information for the government to consider and develop the necessary policies to effect implementation of these recommendations. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move, whereas non-communicable diseases leading the cause of the death in Jamaica, accounting for approximately 70% of deaths annually, and whereas 1 in 3 Jamaicans are reported to be overweight or obese, and over the last decade, adolescent obesity has doubled in boys and increased by nearly 50% in girls, and whereas unhealthy food environments and lack of evidence-based healthy food policy significantly contributes to the rising prevalence of NCDs among youth, burdening Jamaica's healthcare system and economy. Be it resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica 2024 debate the urgent need for the implementation and adoption of healthy food policies, namely the school nutrition policy and front-of-package labeling as a pivotal tool in addressing childhood NSTs and promoting a healthy future for Jamaican youth. And be it further resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica call upon the Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica to convey recommendations emanating from this debate to the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information
for the government to prioritize the approval and implementation of the National School Nutrition Policy and to adopt the front package warning labels with emphasis on ensuring measurable health and economic benefits. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice at a later stage today. I will move for the suspension of the standing order to enable me to take the motion.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the next meeting of the House, I will move, whereas crime and violence pose critical challenges to Jamaica's social fabric, economic stability, and overall well-being, and whereas addressing these issues requires a trauma-informed, community-driven approach that targets the root causes of violence and promotes sustainable peace building, and whereas restorative justice, victim support services, child diversion programs, education, and social economic development have proven effective in fostering rehabilitation, reducing recidivism, and creating safer communities. Be it resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica 2024 debate the importance of implementing a national crime reduction strategy grounded in a trauma-informed framework and with restorative justice, victim services, child diversion programs, education, and socio-economic development as its central pillars, and be it further resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica call upon the Youth Advisory Council to convey recommendations emanating from this debate to the Ministry of National Security and Ministry of Justice, urging the government to prioritize policies that holistically integrate these components for a safer and more equitable Jamaica. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice that at the end of the next meeting of the House, I will move. Whereas HIV/AIDS continues to be a significant public health concern because the decline in new infection among young people has not been declining rapid enough. And whereas young people possess negative attitudes about people living with HIV/AIDS and their knowledge about preventing transmission of HIV/AIDS and misconception declined from 38.5% in 2012 to 32.5% in 2017. And whereas in 2023, 1 in 4 new HIV infections in Jamaica were among young people aged 15 to 24. And whereas without addressing the social and structural barriers that put young people at risk of contracting HIV, Jamaica will not achieve its goal of ending HIV as a public health concern threat by 2030. Be it resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica 2024 declare the need to implement comprehensive evidence-based strategies to reduce HIV/AIDS infections among young people. And be it further resolved that the National Youth Parliament of Jamaica call upon the Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica to convey recommendations emanating from the debate to the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness for the government to consider and develop the necessary policies to effect robust implementation of these recommendations. Madam Speaker, I further beg to give the notice that at a later stage today, I will move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable me to take the motion.
Thank you, members. Questions and answers to questions. Motions that may be made at the commencement of public business requiring notice. Motions relating to the sittings of the House. Motions for leave to introduce bills. Presentation of bills without leave of the House first obtained. Public business. House Leader.
Madam Speaker, I now move for the suspension of the standing orders to enable the members to take the motions, notice of which they gave earlier.
The question is that the standing orders be suspended to enable the members to take motions, notice of which they gave earlier. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. I now welcome Member from Eastern St. Thomas, Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Nashe Baker.
From a constitutional monarchy to a republican form of government. But it is with deep regret that I say we, the youth, have not been given sufficient opportunities to be more involved with the reform process. For a document that will hold all powers over how we live our lives. Hold on. Permit me, Madam Speaker, to do a quick poll. Honorable members, how many of you are fully aware and engaged with the contents and recommendations of the CRC report on constitutional reform? What can go so? Madam Speaker, I must advise the House that current efforts at engaging young people on constitutional reform, while well-intentioned, have not gone far enough. I say it's time for a constitutional revolution. Madam Speaker, as of this moment, the website dedicated to constitutional reform is ill-equipped to deal with the inquiring thoughts of our youth population, with it only having one section for questions with 12 FAQs. Yes, 12. And in case you were wondering, the Constitution has 138 sections. So 12 questions for 138 sections? Again, I ask, what can go so? The intricate and delicate process of creating the highest set of laws, our Constitution, which is second only to God, has been reduced to 12 simple questions, one piece of pasa. It's time to unlock the untapped potential of artificial intelligence, AI, to engage our youth. As the field of AI continues to evolve with its potential application in various domains, I strongly believe that this should now include the constitutional reform process. Madam Speaker, I hereby propose the introduction of a constitutional reform AI called Yardi Republic, to be used not only to give quick answers to youths on the Constitution, but also the recommendations of the CRC and the way forward as a republic. Yardi Republic can be used within town halls to gain real-time feedback and can be used for public opinion voting to gain the perspective of young people, especially those not reached by the efforts of the CRC. Yardi Republic will be able to understand and respond in Patwa, also to verbally receive and provide audio responses in both Patwa and English for youths visually impaired and literally challenged. Madam Speaker, we already use AI daily, from Siri to ChatGPT to Google Assistant. With the introduction of this new constitutional reform AI, youth interest will peak, allowing them to use 5 minutes of the vast amount of time they spend on their phones to interact with Yardi AI. This would allow the CRC to gain valuable feedback that would have otherwise been expensive and challenging to get. With this AI, we'll be able to skate on the toe of the constitution reform on the road to our republic. Madam Speaker, the implementation and adoption will be revolutionary. Imagine the constitutional reform process just a tap away. Tap up the screen, guys. Tap up the screen. We're on the road to FOPWL Republic. I thank you.
Finish on time. Thank you, Member. Now, I now welcome Member from Central St. James, Opposition Spokesperson, Kimberly Sims.
Madam Speaker, I'm scrolling through the CRC report and Correct me if I'm wrong, but I am yet to see any recommendation addressing the repeal of colonial laws, nor any mention of the removal of the modified savings law clause that continues to safeguard the Crown's agenda. We, the youth, say, take it out. Let us write our freedom. Honorable members, good day. Because of the modified savings law clause, we are slow to remove the colonial laws written before independence by the colonizers, regardless of whether or not they infringe on citizens' rights. The process to do so is so highly convoluted. Jamaica, the white man is still controlling our constitution. The laws that have governed us for too long, Madam Speaker, are outdated. Take, for instance, the Obeah Act of 1898, still on the books, a law that criminalizes indigenous spiritual practices that have been a part of our cultural heritage for centuries. This law is not just archaic, members, but oppressive. What is worse, the savings law clause has been sitting in our constitution since independence, protecting problematic colonial laws, stopping us from getting rid of them. Let me be categorically clear, members. The modified savings law clause must go. It reflects the colonial mindset that sought to demonize indigenous groups like the Rastafari, Maroons, and more. While the act is no longer actively enforced, its very presence on the statute books sends a dangerous message that freedom of religion is not fully realized, and that we are still bound by foreign laws that were designed to suppress black identity. This member would propose the repeal of this law and full removal of the savings clause. Now, Madam Speaker, I turn to a reform that we can all celebrate, the decriminalization of marijuana. While we've taken steps in the right direction, this law as it stands is still insufficient. Under the Dangerous Drugs Act 2015, marijuana was decriminalized for personal possession of up to 2 ounces. This is less than a $50 bag. This undermines indigenous groups, like our Rastafari community, whose practice of marijuana as a sacrament has been historically persecuted. This is not just a matter of policy, members. It is a matter of freedom of religion and human rights. Take a look, Madam Speaker, at the Coral Gardens incident of 1963 and the mass persecution of our indigenous groups. Should we perpetuate pain through passivity? Free up the weed, not just to address criminal justice concerns, but to recognize the religious and cultural significance it holds for Rastafari, as guaranteed by Section 13 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms. We are on the road to republic, Honorable House. We can't reverse on flat bridge. So, press on, skate on the toll if you must, but understand keenly that this road to republic is the road to freedom. Jamaica, ride on. I thank you.
I now welcome member from East Central, St. Andrew, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Akeem Campbell.
Madam Speaker, fellow distinguished youth parliamentarians, other distinguished guests, and my fellow Jamaicans, I address this House on the urgent issue of constitutional reform. The Constitution establishes a framework for the government of Jamaica and has been doing so for over 6 decades, providing a structure for a country on a path transitioning from colonialism. We now require a reformed constitution to take us on a new path, the path to becoming the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. The Constitution is a living organism that should grow with its society. To that end, we must remove Commonwealth citizenship as a criterion for parliamentary membership. and reject the idea that those with dual citizenship should be barred from membership in Parliament. Firstly, Madam Speaker, there are two groups of people who qualify to be appointed to Parliament: Jamaican citizens and Commonwealth citizens with at least 12 months of residence in Jamaica. But who are these Commonwealth countries? These include India, Sri Lanka, Cyprus, Singapore, and a barrage of other countries who we share a history of being under Britain's thumb. Do these countries understand what it means to be truly Caribbean? More specifically, to be Jamaican. Ask them, what is dancehall? Ask them, what is Aki? Who is Nanny of the Maroods? Or even, who is Bob Marley? These are our cultural cards, and they do not have any appreciation for them. Madam Speaker, I propose that leadership privileges be removed from those whose tie to us is only by Commonwealth classification.
1 minute remaining.
Further, if this tie is to be extended to anyone, it should be to our CARICOM brothers and sisters. Now, the CRC report questions whether those with dual citizenship, particularly to the United States, should be barred from parliamentary membership. So imagine a young person who studies overseas, hones his expertise, and builds out an education system, financial structure, or an efficient healthcare system. Are we going to reject the very skills we need to realize Vision 2030? If the very framework of our legislation provides for the rejection of one of our own because they have built a life and expertise in another country, can we really say with a clean conscience, out of many, one people? It should be every citizen's dream to return and give back to their country. It should be every citizen's duty to return and lead Jamaica to becoming a place where their children can love to live, not visit for winter vacations. We need these people, people who can be the change we need to take us to becoming a developed space. So not only do we, the government, reject the idea that dual citizenship should disqualify one from parliamentary membership, but we go a step further. We say that we propose that a constitutional provision be made to allow citizenship to be granted on the basis of the skills an individual has that could benefit Jamaica. Madam Speaker, if I were to begin to explain the benefits to the average Jamaican citizen of constitutional reform, we'd be here for the whole day. What I will say, though, is that Jamaica is at a new stage of its growth journey, and we must have a legal framework that takes us to newer and better heights.
Thank you, member. I now invite member from Southern Manchester, opposition spokesperson, Raisha Brown.
Madam Speaker, let it be known that when I say CRC, a Jamaican might think I'm talking about CR7, their favorite footballer. So members, you can agree with me that we must reintroduce the Constitutional Reform Committee to the country, emphasizing its 2024 report, proposing recommendations on constitutional reform. Fellow youth parliamentarians and other distinguished guests, good morning. The Constitutional Reform Committee is an essential pillar that constitutional reform rests upon. But as philosopher Derek Morgan once said, Mr. Guys, what's really happening down at the CRC? Madam Speaker, the reality is stark. The CRC is responsible for proposing recommendations, but what about implementing them? As our Honorable Minister of Education highlighted in her speech, we love to point out what's wrong in this country. This, unfortunately, has led to what can only be described as the norm within this House that has a history of dragging its feet, risking the work of constitutional reform, becoming just another unrealized vision. Let it also be noted that not all members of the CRC signed the final report. What do the kids say today? My eyes totally shut. This lack of unanimity is a key challenge that threatens the momentum needed for moving forward with implementation. What we need is oversight. Madam Speaker, oversight committees are not a novel concept in Jamaica. The Economic Program Oversight Committee monitors the implementation of Jamaica's economic reform. These examples show that with an oversight committee, the CRC will not become another talk shop, repeating history from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but this time around, there will be action. This is why I propose the establishment of a National Constitutional Reform Oversight Committee, an independent and bipartisan body tasked with overseeing the implementation of the CRC's recommendations. This committee would report to Parliament on a quarterly basis on the progress made and any barriers encountered, ensure the reform process remains on track, transparent, and accountable, provide a platform for public participation and scrutiny of the process. Without further ado, let us create our dream team. Persons within the members of governance, members from both political parties to promote bipartisan collaboration, legal and constitutional experts to guide the reform, and will not forget my side, a youth representative to include the perspective of Jamaica's future leaders in this crucial process. Let us commit to establishing the National Constitutional Reform Oversight Committee and engaging every Jamaican in this process. Let us prove that constitutional reform is not a fleeting discussion, but a deliberate, unrelenting movement towards a brighter future. And Madam Speaker, if you will allow me to borrow a popular phrase by a fellow parliamentarian, time come. Thank you.
Thank you, Member.
Madam Speaker, I now move that the motion be approved.
The question is that the motion be approved. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Members, allow me to pause momentarily to give special acknowledgement to Carberry Court Special Needs School. They have 10 students here, their principal and their staff members. Please make them feel welcome. I now invite member from West Central St. James, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Karina Gale.
Madam Speaker, it has been over 4 years and we are yet to find Jasmine Dean. I address this House today with urgency on the critical issue of digital transformation, especially in relation to national security. The ability to locate missing children is a matter of life and death. With 90% of Jamaicans owning mobile phones, it is our social responsibility to harness these assets and protect each other. In a world where connectivity is key, we can no longer rely on outdated systems. In the year 2008, we saw the implementation of the Ananda Alert system, named in honor of Ananda Dean, who was tragically abducted and murdered. This system, which was designed 15 years ago to ensure quick recovery of a missing person, is still not far-reaching in our society as it operates on a subscription-only basis. A report from the Child Protection and Family Services Agency in 2023 revealed that an overwhelming 1,027 children were reported missing in that year. Of that number, only 875 have been located, with 1 found missing and 151 unaccounted for. 151 children unaccounted for, yet Jamaican people are totally shut. We must open our eyes and consider the number of lives that could have been saved had our system been far-reaching and immediate. To counteract this, Madam Speaker, I propose the modernization of the system through 876 SAVE, a comprehensive real-time SMS alert system that will be mandatory for all mobile phones connected to local service providers. Drawing inspiration from the wireless emergency alert system of the United States, 876 SAFE will broadcast urgent alerts to all citizens within the country, whether they have subscribed or not. By using broadcast towers, we will ensure that crucial information reaches every phone, every time. Madam Speaker, even if everybody not up, we are give them an update. Through
1
collaborating
minute,
with
member.
telecommunications giants such as Flow and Digicel, we can ensure that 876 Safe becomes a nationwide solution. These partnerships will help streamline the process of disseminating real-time alerts about missing children, thus enabling a faster, more coordinated response from communities, law enforcement, and private sector partners. The rewards of this are profound. By using real-time SMS alert systems, we will drastically reduce response times, mobilizing the entire nation to assist in locating missing children. This will save lives and give Jamaican families peace of mind, knowing that help is just a message away. Ultimately, 876 Safe is more than just an upgrade to our alert system. It is a critical step towards making Jamaica a safer, more connected, and digitally empowered nation. We have the technology. We have the partnerships. Let us ensure that no more Jamaican families endure such pain. I urge us all to not only use our mobile phones as personal assets, but social assets to safeguard our future. Thank you.
Thank you, member. I now invite member from Southwestern St. Anne, Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, Jadine Bell.
Madam Speaker, honorable members of this esteemed House, I stand before you today to discuss a matter of great importance: digital transformation in Jamaica. In the words of our Jamaican ancestors, when you take your time, you see the road clearer. It's time for us to slow down, examine where we are, and charter a clearer, more inclusive path forward. Madam Speaker, in this technological age, why are Jamaicans behaving like we're at the back of the class when Dr. Nigel Clark already showed the world that we are the creme de la creme in the Caribbean region with the introduction of Jamdex? Jamdex, Madam Speaker, is Jamaica's digital currency. I'm sure many Jamaicans are watching this and thinking, what is Jamdex? Why should I care about this? You see, this digital wallet offers tangible benefits for its citizens and businesses alike. For small businesses, it eliminates long lines and wait times at banks, streamlining operations with instant and secure payments. Madam Speaker, me say, me can't go a Linstead market and not a Quatiwood sell, all because the man never have enough cash. But anyhow, we did have a link. I could just say, yo, pull out your phone, look for me on the app, and just send across the money. No. Imagine this for every single unbanked individual in Jamaica. Starting data tells us that almost 500,000 of our population remains unbanked, disconnected from formal financial services. Meanwhile, over 90% of Jamaicans own a mobile phone. One of the primary reasons for this is limited access to reliable internet and mobile services. In constituencies like St. and Southwestern, for example, persons have to
1 minute remaining.
Persons have to catch up a roadside or sit down somewhere just to get a phone signal. Madam Speaker, this is not only an inconvenience, it is a serious limitation to the development of digital services. As such, I recommend the solution to the problem as free access to Link, which is the portal for Jamdex. Madam Speaker, you won't even need data. All you need is the mobile phone. This will be accomplished by collaborating with service providers, Flow and Digicel, to provide users with zero-rated plans for a year with the possibility of an extension. Madam Speaker, we must ask ourselves, how many more digital policies do we need to enact before we recognize that the implementation is the key? In closing, I urge the government to seriously consider this solution. Jamdex is a powerful tool for the future of our nation. Let's make a deliberate effort to make it accessible to all Jamaicans. Thank you.
Thank you, member. I now invite Member from South Central St. Catherine, Deputy Spokesperson, Dominic Nash.
Madam Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, good morning. I extend warm greetings from the vibrant constituency of South Central St. Catherine. Madam Speaker, even Steve can say that there's a noticeable increase in low voter turnout, especially among the youths. This is a clear indication that the youths are saying, we'll now vote. The 2020 general election shows that 37% showed out. This is the lowest since 1983. This decline also showed in the local government elections, where the turnout was reported at 30% in 2016, dropped further down to 29.6% in February 2024. Madam Speaker, this is concerning. If you ask me, the maths now maths. Madam Speaker, it is safe to note that one of the reasons why Jamaica's low voter turnout is because of our current voting system due to the lack of convenience and adaptability. In our system, the representation of the People's Act, ROPA, states that residents must cast their ballots at polling stations with their registered constituency. This is impractical because those who have migrated from their registered constituency for reasons such as work, school, or other commitments. Madam Speaker, ROPA fails to accomplish the current reality of our society. Take, for instance, I'm currently a student at the University of Technology, Jamaica, and I'm a registered voter in Westmoreland. If the election is called tomorrow, even if I skate on the toll, it will be difficult to travel from Papi East to Westmoreland West and voice it in 3 hours. This is simply not convenient nor accessible. Madam Speaker, it is time to amend the legislation to focus on modernization of the voting process. It is on this premise that we must embrace technology to make voting more convenient and accessible. Voting is not just a right, but a duty, and technology can help to make it more convenient to everyone. To address this, Madam Speaker, I propose to implement an automated ballot system that will revolutionize how Jamaicans actively participate in the electoral process. Madam Speaker, these machines will allow voters to cast their vote electronically from any polling stations. Votes securely recorded memory and tabulated for the voters' registered constituency, regardless of where the ballot is cast. Automated ballot system can be designed to accommodate voters with disabilities such as visual or hearing impairments, promoting an inclusive society. Madam Speaker, Jamaicans are discouraged by the inconvenience associated with having to return to their original place of registration to vote for a specific constituency. This, Madam Speaker, will encourage people actively to participate in our democratic process without the inconvenience associated with traveling. Fellow Jamaicans, leveraging technology in our electoral process is not just a necessity. It's an opportunity to ignite in a new era of our democratic engagement in Jamaica. Madam Speaker, for now, the opposition rests. Thank you.
Members, thank you, member. Please take note of the time towards the back. I now invite member from Central Westmoreland, opposition spokesperson without portfolio, Deandra Irving.
Honorable Speaker, as I address the topic of digital transformation, harnessing technology through public policy, it is most imperative that we recognize technology presents immense potential to drive productivity, innovation, and national development. However, with these advancements come new vulnerabilities, especially in the areas of cybercrime. With this in mind, Madam Speaker, we must address the fact that as we embrace the opportunities of the Fifth Industrial Revolution, the lack of effective cybersecurity in Jamaica poses a grave problem. According to statistics shown in the Jamaica Observer, in 2023 alone, over 43 million attempted cyber attacks were reported in the island. Moreover, the country's cybersecurity infrastructure has been ranked among the lowest in the Caribbean. Madam Speaker, the truth is that we are not adequately prepared to handle these threats, and this could have severe consequences for our economy and national security. Therefore, we need to modernize the Cybercrimes Act. This would include the following measures. Firstly, the Act needs to be updated to address newer forms of cybercrimes. For example, deepfakes, which uses artificial intelligence to mimic real individuals, is a matter in need of critical attention. Madam Speaker, we now have AI with the ability to impersonate persons, acting as a dangerous manipulation of reality. Imagine being falsely portrayed in a compromising position online. Can you even begin to fathom the implications that this could bring? Another cause for concern, Madam Speaker, is that while cryptocurrencies is transforming global finance, it has become an aid in illegal activities. This is being used as a loophole by persons taking part in nefarious acts to fund the black market and get paid without the ability to easily trace these transactions. For instance, the Jamaica Cyber Incident Response Team reported a notable rise in cyber-related financial crimes, with losses exceeding 150 million Jamaican dollars in 2023 alone. This cannot work, Madam Speaker. Secondly, I call for stronger penalties and enforcements, as by doing such, we are sending a clear message that cybercrime will not be tolerated. In addition, the law would empower law enforcement agencies to better track, investigate, and prosecute cybercriminals using more current technologies. This is where we call on the Ministry of Science, Energy, and Technology, in collaboration with the Ministries of National Security and Justice, to bring forward their expertise. Finally, Madam Speaker, we will need to implement educating the Jamaican people as a part of modernizing this act. This is inclusive of comprehensive initiatives to raise public awareness about the risks of cybercrime and encourage best digital practices in digital security for both individuals and businesses. These initiatives will leverage traditional and social media, as well as community outreach to educate the public. Madam Speaker, as the saying goes, text, sleep, mark death. Let us not wait for catastrophe to open our eyes to the urgency of this matter. The cyber criminals are not waiting, so why should we? This, Madam Speaker, is a call to action, not tomorrow, not next year, but today. Let us secure Jamaica's digital future with the courage and resolve of a nation that is determined to lead. Modernizing the Cybercrimes Act will not only protect our people, but will also cement Jamaica's position as a forward-thinking, innovative leader in the Caribbean. The opposition rests.
Thank you, Member.
Madam Speaker, I now move that the motion be approved.
The question is that the motion be approved. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Please welcome member from West Central, St. Catherine, opposition spokesperson, Sean Phillips.
Madam Speaker, fellow youth parliamentarians, distinguished guests, good morning. Healthy kids, strong Jamaica. This is the vision that should guide us. Unfortunately, non-communicable diseases, NCDs, like diabetes and hypertension, are increasingly threatening our youth, fueled by poor nutrition and limited physical activity. A major contributor to this crisis is the easy access to the unhealthy food and drinks in our school. Mr. Speaker, the Healthy Caribbean Coalition reported in 2019 that 1 in 3 Jamaican children is overweight or obese. 1 in 3? No, man. A statistic directly linked to the availability of unhealthy food options. The National School Nutrition Policy, SNP, provides a strong foundation for promoting better nutrition in schools. But we must focus on regulating school vending practices to address this issue more effectively. This unsafe issue needs to be addressed now. For instance, in October 2023, more than 60 primary school students were hospitalized after purchasing marijuana-laced sweets from a vendor outside their school gate. This incident highlights the urgent need to regulate and monitor vending practices to protect our children. Madam Speaker, this is why the policy calls for control over vending within a 200-meter radius of schools. This is necessary to limit students' exposure to the unhealthy food options during school hours and after, reducing the influence of harmful external vendors. However, the current reality is that sugary drinks and snacks still dominate school vending area, undermining our efforts to promote health. Mr. Speaker, I propose the following actions to address the unsafe practices and ensure our children's safety. 1. Enforce nutritional standards for vendors. Vendors must be required to sell only healthy, nutritious food and drinks in compliance with the SNP. Eliminating sugary snacks and drinks that contribute to SNDs. Vendor education and incentive is another proposal. We must educate vendors about the nutritional needs of children. Through workshops from the Ministry of Education and also Health, vendors will be supported to align with the SNP. Additionally, we should incentivize compliance by offering reduced fees for food handlers permit to those who meet the new standards. 3. Designated vending zones. Establishing regulated vending zones within schools, ensuring that students have easy access to healthy options such as fruits and vegetables. 4. Consultation with vendors. Engage vendors in a consultation for our youth to try to create a future where they are strong,
20 seconds.
focused, ready to lead Jamaica.
Mr. Speaker, fellow youth parliamentarians and distinguished guests, good afternoon. I am here to shed light on a pressing matter affecting our youth in Jamaica. Only 28% of primary and secondary school students are receiving food. Jamaica has the highest cost for a healthy diet per person in the region. A lot of students are hypertensive and overweight, which indicates the lack of resources and safe, healthy, and nutritious food. We are in a crisis. Mr. Speaker, the struggle is real for the youth them. Barely have food and nothing nutritious. We need to combat non-communicable diseases and promote healthy eating habits to safeguard our sustained well-being. So how do we do that? Our initial focus should be on prioritizing essential produce, which forms the foundation of every nutritious meal. This, Mr. Speaker, is where national can play a role. The National School Nutrition Policy, drafted in 2022, recommends around 10% of the produce used should be sourced locally. Mr. Speaker, what can 10% really do? I call for this to be more than 10%. This can be done through a renewed focus on integrating agriculture into the school system. We need to reintroduce agriculture from as early as kindergarten, starting with mini farms. We not only need to reintroduce, but actively educate and implement an intervention within our schools that promotes farming and growing your produce. If the schools can cultivate their own fruits and vegetables and incorporate hydroponics on their farms, where land is limited, we can feed more children, give them much healthier snacks and meals, and help schools lower the cost of providing meals. Understanding the significance of agriculture from a young age fosters healthier eating habits and reduces cravings for fast food, which can help combat obesity. This practice also helps prevent the emergence of food deserts, which are areas with limited access to affordable, nutritious food.
Such deserts often lead to health disparities and increased chronic diseases and obesity in low-income communities. Therefore, there is a need to reach out to agriculturally based parishes and schools to disperse the surplus of produce that they have into low-income communities. The Ministry of Education should actively collaborate with the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, to implement mini-farms within schools. Give them the tools and the resources to start and maintain these farms. By doing this in our schools, will cut the cost of outsourcing produce by half. Mr. Speaker, the school nutrition policy is essential for promoting healthy eating among youth and combating NCDs. By prioritizing local produce through partnerships with agriculturally based parishes and schools and collaborating with RADA to create mini farms, we can enhance food resources, reduce food costs, and prevent obesity. We not just need to name and dash. We need to be mindful, we need to be nutritious, and we need to be much healthier.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, distinguished guests, good day. Exercise is king, nutrition is queen. Put them together and you've got a kingdom. This quote by Jack LaLanne highlights the vital synergy between physical activity and nutrition, a relationship the National School Nutrition Policy seeks to foster for a healthier Jamaican generation. For this reason, I stand before this honorable House today urging its swift implementation. Mr. Speaker, to truly effect change, we must look beyond the classroom and take action within our communities. I propose that we expand Jamaica Moves to partner with the Social Development Commission to take physical activity to the heart of our communities through weekly exercise sessions designed to break down barriers and encourage behavior change. As a woman in sport, I know that the SDC, with its vast network of community sporting events, is uniquely positioned to extend the reach of this critical program. Mr. Speaker, poor nutrition and lack of exercise in schools are driving a health crisis. In 2017, 20% of boys and 26% of girls aged 13 to 17 were overweight, with nearly 10% obese. How can we claim to be a kingdom of well-being when exercise, our king, is absent? Imagine a program called Little Walk, Big Chat, where students can walk around their school grounds while engaging in meaningful discussions. Teachers could tie these walks to topics from the HFLE curriculum, sparking conversations on health, well-being, and life choices. Through small incentives for participation, we could turn these walks into lively, exciting sessions, fostering both physical and intellectual development. This, Mr. Speaker, is how we make exercise king. The Ministry of Health and Wellness's 2023 report confirms that many Jamaican youths are leading sedentary lives, with those in Trelawney, St. Thomas, and Kingston reporting low physical activity. This demonstrates a generation at risk of preventable diseases, regardless of their urban or rural residence. And without exercise, there is no king. I strongly propose that every sport association across Jamaica adopt a basic, primary, or high school and engage students in physical activity. Take, for example, our local football association. What if they could invite students with parental consent to participate in their training sessions? This simple yet effective initiative could transform the way our youth view exercise, making it not just a requirement, but a part of their lifestyle. The National School Nutrition Policy creates a foundation for transformation, combining the benefits of exercise and nutrition, ensuring that our children not only eat well, but also engage in daily physical activity. Mr. Speaker, let us not delay. If we truly want to combat the rising of NCDs and equip our youth with the tools they need to succeed, we must act now. Together, let us build a kingdom where exercise is king, nutrition is queen, and the health of our youth reigns supreme. Thank you.
We'll now hear from the member from Clarendon South Eastern, Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, Honorable Chavoy Morrison.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, honorable guests, members of this honorable House. Today, I want to highlight the crucial role of healthy food policies in addressing the pressing issue of non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, among our children. While these diseases often manifest in adulthood, their roots are frequently sown in childhood and adolescence. Primary drivers of NCDs are linked to poor dietary habits, physical inactivity, or other lifestyle choices. Among these, one of the most alarming contributors is sugar consumption. The rise of sugary drinks in our schools, communities, and homes has contributed significantly to the surge in obesity and type 2 diabetes. Mr. Speaker, in 2019, the Jamaican government took a bold step to address this growing health crisis by implementing a ban on sugary drinks in schools. The aim was clear: to reduce children's exposure to excessive sugar and encourage healthier eating habits. However, while the ban was a crucial initiative, it has not been fully enforced or maintained. The negligence in implementing and upholding this ban has created a gap in our efforts to combat NCDs. Mr. Speaker, it is time for us to take responsibility and address this crisis head-on. The government must recommit to the enforcement of the 2019 ban on sugary drinks in schools, but this cannot be a singular effort. It must be part of a broader national strategy to promote health and wellness. First, we need to ensure that schools across the country have access to the resources they need to implement the ban properly. This means increased monitoring and better enforcement policies through incentives for schools compliant with the ban, like greater funding for health promotion initiatives like school gardening and the Jamaica Moves in School program. Regular inspections and monitoring of school vending machines and canteens to ensure compliance with the ban. With stronger partnerships between the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education, and local communities, even healthier alternatives can be considered, such as natural fruit juices produced by fruits harvested through a school gardening program. Even the private sector has a role to play. We cannot trade the future of our children, the future of our nation, for profit. Honorable members, nothing can go so. Food and beverage companies must be encouraged to reduce sugar content in their products and to be transparent about what they are selling. To that end, we are calling for the implementation of the black octagonal front-of-package warning label system. Through implementing black octagonal FOPWL, our children and young people, all consumers really, will be readily able to identify products high in nutrients of concern, including those high in sugar, as well as be better informed to make healthier choices. It is our responsibility to make sure that we are taking necessary steps, like the promotion of regular physical activity and the importance of a balanced diet, to safeguard the health of coming generations for a stronger Jamaica. Progress should not be impeded by carelessness nor complacency. It is time to act, to implement the policies we've established. Mr. Speaker, the Jamaica of tomorrow starts today. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that the motion be approved.
The question is that the motion be approved. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Member?
Mr. Speaker, honorable members of this House, our youth represent the beating heart of Jamaica's potential. Yet far too often, we see them entangled in a justice system that is ill-equipped to nurture, rehabilitate, or reintegrate them. Instead of being pathways to redemption, our justice mechanisms frequently become revolving doors of despair, perpetuating cycles of poverty, crime, and marginalization, which further feed into our communities. According to the Jamaica Correctional Report 2022, 30% of Jamaica's prison population are youth between the ages of 17 to 24. 30%, Madam Speaker. This is alarming. Factors such as unemployment, poor access to quality education, and systemic inequities contribute significantly to this issue. Too many young people, when confronted with conflict, are funneled into the justice system where they encounter environments that are punitive rather than restorative. Instead of receiving the guidance and support that they deeply need, they are treated as societal outcasts. Mr. Speaker, a critical question arises. Are we investing in their future,
or are we condemning them to a life devoid of purpose? Let us imagine for a second a society where rehabilitation is prioritized over stigmatization. It is through this approach that an effective national crime reduction strategy can be realized. Members, I introduce today the Youth Reintegration Housing and Support Program. This program provides formerly incarcerated youth between the ages of 18 to 29 who are within their final year of sentences for minor to medium offenses with stable housing and comprehensive support services to facilitate their successful reintegration into society. With the ultimate goal of independence and long-term stability, we aim to ensure that youth have a safe place to live and access services until they are ready to transition to independent living and return to a society where they will no longer be susceptible to reoffending. This program will offer a range of services, including restorative justice practices, education and vocational training, mental health, life skills development, and
1
career
minute
guidance,
remaining,
with a path for clear employment in areas of growing national demand, such as technology and agriculture. These shared housing units, located in central community-based areas in all parishes, offers access to the critical infrastructure needed to facilitate this rehabilitation. Mr. Speaker, we are providing a pathway to change, one that builds our youth so that they don't become repeat offenders. Crime affects everyone. The government will not only create these spaces, but public-private partnerships, the collective responsibility of all Jamaicans to ensure its success. This is not another institutionalized system. We cannot allow this initiative to replicate the challenges of other systems that foster dependency. This is not what this government is about. This program stands as a transitional support system, which in the long run saves lives while building youth to contribute to economic development. Honorable members, we cannot afford to fail our youth. The ripple effects of neglecting their potential will be felt across generations. Let us remember that social justice is not merely a concept, it is a commitment. A promise to leave no one behind, especially our youth. Gone are the days when our youth are written off as lost causes. No, we must embrace them as valuable contributors to Jamaica's future.
we thank the member from St. Ann Northwestern, Minister of Justice, Honorable Justin Allen. At this time, we'll hear from the member from St. James Central, Minister of Labour and Social Security, Honorable Khadija Baker.
Mr. Speaker, esteemed parliamentarians and fellow Jamaicans, we pride ourselves on the motto, justice, truth beat ours forever, but where is the justice for those who are waiting? Where is the justice for the family torn apart by a murder, waiting endlessly for their day in court? The reality, Mr. Speaker, is that while our Constitution guarantees the right to a fair hearing within a reasonable time, Jamaicans will tell you, you have the law, but the law still a run, reflecting an embarrassing cycle of misjustice. Statistics will show over 1,000 cases in Jamaica remain pending annually across our courts. For criminal cases particularly, those involving the serious offenses, pretrial detentions often last longer than the potential sentence for the alleged crime. It is for this reason, Mr. Speaker, I urge this House to acknowledge the implementation of a formal policy that mandates trial to be heard within time, not exceeding 3 years. To achieve this, we should encourage the use of the plea deal. The Plea Negotiations and Agreements Act of 2017 allows an accused person to plead guilty to a lesser charge or receive a lighter sentence in exchange for cooperation, such as admitting guilt or providing useful information. While plea bargaining is already a legal option, expanding its use could help clear case backlogs by resolving minor cases quickly, freeing up court systems for more serious crimes such as violent offenses and gang-related cases. Mr. Speaker, we are not letting out criminals with a slap on the wrist. We are holding the truly dangerous accountable while freeing up court resources to deliver swift justice for victims. Our rape cases, our murder cases,
our drug trafficking cases and our corruption cases must be heard today, and we will not allow them to be delayed any longer. New York has effectively utilized plea bargaining to manage its court caseholds, with a whopping 90% of criminal cases settled through plea agreements. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an approach that allows courts to prioritize violent crimes while enabling defendants to resolve their cases swiftly, often benefiting from reduced sentences or participation in rehabilitation programs. And Mr. Speaker, we cannot ignore the urgent need for increase of manpower in prosecution and legal aid services. We must recruit more dedicated prosecutors, expand the legal aid capacity, and offer better financial incentives for our attorneys. Additionally, we must invest in continuous professional development to ensure that our legal professionals are equipped with the necessary skills, with the necessary resources to effectively serve the public and uphold justice for all. And it is with this honorable House, we swiftly let justice flow, for every Jamaican deserves their day in court. I thank you.
Thank you, member. We'll now hear from the opposition spokesperson of justice from St. Andrew Northwestern, Ms. Floran Fraxon.
To continue the issues at hand, Mr. Speaker, I stand before you today to address a critical issue that impacts not only the well-being of individuals in our justice system, but also the safety and stability of our communities, the mental health crisis among offenders within Jamaica's correctional system. The offender needs justice. It is estimated that 25% of incarcerated individuals suffer from mental health conditions such as depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Yet, with limited resources, these conditions often go untreated, exacerbating the psychological challenges of offenders and increasing the likelihood of reoffending. This cycle of untreated mental health issues not only hinders rehabilitation, but also undermines public safety. To address this, we must review the National Correctional Services Policy of Jamaica, which outlines the goals of rehabilitation and reintegration of offenders, the protection of public safety, and the humane treatment of prisoners. The offender needs justice. This already emphasizes the importance of rehabilitation, but we must take immediate action in two key areas. Madam Speaker, these are expanding mental health support services and integrating psychological training for correctional officers. Now tell me, Madam Speaker, can the Department of Correctional Services disclose how many psychologists and psychiatrists that are available to treat approximately 4,000 incarcerated offenders? Ha! Wanna pass them the wellness bench there. We urgently need to increase mental health professionals in the system. Norway, for example, with a focus on rehabilitation and robust mental health services, they boast a recidivism rate of 20% compared to Jamaica's over 60%. Addressing offenders' mental health is the key to breaking the cycle of crime. This is justice. Now, for the correctional training now, these correctional officers, they need mandatory robust psychological training beyond brief sessions labeled as psychology aid training. Then they're prized with parchment paper. Offenders are human beings with rights and emotions, deserving respectful treatment. In Sweden, they have the offenders where they receive extensive training in conflict resolution, mental health, and trauma-informed care, fostering dignity and rehabilitation. Jamaican officers often lack such preparation, which can escalate tensions and impede rehabilitation. Implementing similar training here, they can create a supportive environment and improve outcomes for offenders. This is justice. In conclusion, the mental health crisis within our prison system demands urgent attention. By investing in mental health resources and training, as demonstrated by successful systems in countries like Norway and Sweden, we can foster a justice system that prioritizes rehabilitation over punishment,
restoring the once incarcerated into society as productive and healthy citizens. This will ultimately create safer, more equitable communities in Jamaica. This is justice. I urge the Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica and the relevant ministries to take these necessary steps to address the crisis and pave the way for meaningful reform in our justice system. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. I now invite Member from Central Clarendon, Opposition Spokesperson, Laurel Williams.
To this honorable House, good day. Madam Speaker, juvenile delinquency is not a disease. It is a symptom of deeper societal issues like poverty, violence, neglect, and a lack of opportunity. Yet, despite these root causes, we often resort to punitive measures. These measures do little to deter crime, but instead, they deepen the trauma that these young people already carry. The result, recidivism rates in Jamaica remain at around 40%, a clear indication that we are not solving the issue of juvenile crime, but perpetuating it. Honorable Court, we are calling the justice system of Jamaica to the stand. Answer me this. Are we solving juvenile crime, or are we sacrificing our youth for short-term political optics? Picture this. The average age of a juvenile offender in Jamaica is 16 years old. 16. These are teenagers, children in the most critical stages of development. Yet, our system treats them as criminals to be punished rather than young lives to be saved. Madam Speaker, slavery stop. Keep. Enough is enough. Madam Speaker, I propose an amendment to the Child Diversion Act to prioritize restorative justice practices for young offenders, ensuring that they can access rehabilitation without first being processed through the courts. A child has no business in the bounds of the court. This adjustment would remove the requirement for cases to be verified by both the victim and the offender, allowing a more streamlined and accessible pathway for intervention. By eliminating these barriers, the policy would ensure that young offenders are diverted to structured rehabilitation programs at the earliest opportunity, reducing the risk of further trauma caused by formal court proceedings. This change ensures the court's time is reserved for other serious cases while addressing juvenile offenses through structured rehabilitation programs that foster accountability and provide effective solutions outside of a punitive system. Mechanisms for implementation would include direct referrals from schools, community leaders, or law enforcement to child diversion officers who would assess each case and develop tailored and unique rehabilitation plans. These plans would mandate school attendance to ensure educational continuity, provide access to vocational training, internships, jobs, and scholarships to build future opportunities, and address root causes of delinquency through mentorship and counseling to ensure that we are preparing our youth to meaningfully contribute to our society. Because we know every ghetto youth a star, unstoppable. Our justice system should not be a pipeline to hopelessness, but a pathway to redemption. Believe in a winner, man? Madam Speaker, the future of our nation depends on how we treat its most vulnerable. Let us rise to this moment. Let us act boldly with compassion and purpose. I urge this Parliament to adopt these amendments to the Child Diversion Act and take the first step toward a brighter, more just Jamaica. The justice system of Jamaica, you have been served.
Thank you, Member.
Madam Speaker, I now move that the motion be approved.
The question is that the motion be approved. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. I now invite member from Northeastern St. Anne, Deputy Spokesperson Ayoka Davis.
Madam Speaker, me I date two people at the same time, just weighing my options. I stand before you today to address a critical issue, the role of culture, particularly dancehall music, in promoting unhealthy sexual practices. The Ministry of Health and Wellness reports that 26,000 people in Jamaica are living with HIV and about 15,000 persons are receiving treatment. Imagine that. We live in a world where music is the trendsetter of our lifestyle, and in Jamaica where dancehall is everywhere. Nowadays, dancehall is so explicit that even the bedroom instructions are given, often even objectifying and sexualizing women, and the use of contraceptives are merely ever mentioned. It is indisputable that the dancehall music encourages unrestricted sexual behaviors. The lyrics promote the idea that extensive sexual behaviors like these is okay. Imagine that. The lyrics promote the idea that extensive sexual engagement is okay, often through unprotected sex and, of course, the means of a mark of sexual prohibitiveness, contradicting established safe-sex practices. Apparently, if we kick off the boots, we say no to that mockings. We say no. We say no because this mindset leads young listeners to glorify and embrace explorative sexual activities without understanding the risk of HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. The normalization of multiple sexual partners and unprotected sex in dancehall heightens the risk, as shown by a study in the Caribbean Journal of Cultural Studies, which found that young women often emulate the behaviors they hear in these songs while neglecting HIV prevention. Imagine that. To tackle HIV among youth, particularly in the context of dancehall culture, I recommend the following policy: the Dancehall Health, Empowerment and HIV Prevention Policy, where the government would incentivize artists to generate content and context depicting safe sex practices through measures as receiving up to 15% deduction in, and of course, the improvement and reduction of their annual income tax. Their content will be remotely reviewed by the Ministry of Health and Wellness to ensure its accuracy and effectiveness in promoting public health. Madam Speaker, to further support these artists, I propose a 20% discount on rental fees for government-owned venues such as the Catherine Hall for activities such as filming, performances, and installation of depicting safe-sex education. Him have money and bling, so him go bed with him, catch disease, and it starts spreading. Iwan can now keep a big, bad stadium party. Madam Speaker, if implemented, this policy could significantly shift the conversation around HIV prevention, making it healthier and, of course, more relatable to young generation, while promoting healthier sexual practices and reducing stigma. Hear me out. And if me give it up, me not give it up. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you, Member. I now invite Member from Southern Trelawney, Minister of Health and Wellness, Carlisa Peart.
Madam Speaker, honorable members of Parliament, today we confront a pressing crisis that has been festering in silence. the devastating impact of HIV on our vulnerable communities. Our wards of the state, persons living with visual, hearing, and intellectual disabilities, and other marginalized communities endure increased barriers to access vital HIV prevention and treatment services. Jamaica has committed to several international policies and programs on HIV prevention and treatment, including the UNAIDS 95-95-95 target. However, its application to marginalized youth is insufficient. Firstly, our national data does not report on HIV prevalence within these marginalized groups, despite their vulnerability. This prevents the Ministry of Health and Wellness from conducting data-driven interventions for them. Currently, wards of the state, including remanded juvenile offenders, lack access to comprehensive sexual education and other means of HIV prevention. Nor do these youths receive HIV testing while in state care. However, their adult counterparts receive education on HIV prevention and interventions through long-term partnerships between the Department of Correctional Services and agencies. 7% of our population live with a disability, yet none of the Ministry of Health and Wellness's HIV sensitization programs have been delivered in Braille or Jamaican Sign Language for 20 years. The Ministry of Health and Wellness must include information on HIV prevalence among wards of the state in its annual reports. This can be supported through routine testing on entry, during, and on exit from state care, and will inform evidence-based interventions to prevent the spread of HIV within children's home and juvenile correctional centers. The Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information should partner with the Child Protection Services and Family Agency and Department of Correctional Services to integrate comprehensive sexual education within these institutions to empower youth to make healthy lifestyle choices. Finally, the Ministry of Health and Wellness must produce content on HIV prevention in accessible mediums such as Braille, audio recordings, and Jamaican Sign Language. Madam Speaker, Jamaica must uphold its commitment to global goals like UNAIDS 95-95-95 target. But until these efforts reach the most vulnerable among us, we cannot claim progress. Let today mark the beginning of a renewed and inclusive approach to combating HIV. Thank you.
Thank you, Member. I now invite Member from Western St. Mary, Minister of Finance and Public Service, Brittany Simpson.
Madam Speaker, primary health care is the most affordable way to deliver health services, including HIV testing, treatment, and care. But according to the World Health Organization, only 50% of our country's primary health care facilities offer HIV testing and counseling services. Madam Speaker, it no look good. Today, I will highlight the role of primary health care in preventing HIV among Jamaican youth and propose strategies to decrease new infections. A report by the UNICEF 2020 notes that Jamaica's health system faces challenges in providing youth-friendly services, particularly for adolescents. The National Family Planning Board of Jamaica advances that this makes it difficult for youth to access services for reproductive health. To mitigate these challenges, the Ministry of Health must model the best practices exhibited by teen hubs to create a toolkit on youth-centered healthcare delivery. Madam Speaker, we have to run out the kit them. No. Securing youth access to reproductive health care must be addressed.
through increasing availability of evening and weekend clinics. Additionally, the infrastructural conditions of these facilities are not very cutesy, not very demure. This creates a direct barrier to care for youth as these facilities cannot function at full capacity. Madam Speaker, it is critical that we build a health system that meets their needs, respects their rights, and empowers them to make informed decisions about their health. We have to protect the youth. No. Primary health care is a fundamental part of this vision. By ensuring that every youth has access to HIV testing, counseling, and care in an environment that is welcoming, confidential, and free from stigma, we can dramatically reduce new infections and improve health outcomes. We must also focus on increasing marketing of provider-initiated testing and counseling, thus ensuring that youth feel comfortable seeking help without fear of judgment or exposure. Madam Speaker, let us partner to create a health system that is inclusive, supportive, and proactive. By taking these steps, we will not only combat HIV, but also create a healthier, stronger future for Jamaica. The time to act is now. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Member. I now invite Member from Western St. Thomas, Opposition Spokesperson of Youth and Entertainment, Shanice Peku.
Madam Speaker, our sweet Jamaica, the pearl of the Indies, trendsetter and leader if there was a competition, cannot allow the efforts made surrounding HIV prevention to be undone, moving us from a place of progress to the back of the class. In 2017, a Jamaican actress starred in an HIV educational commercial, but instead of being celebrated, she became a victim, losing job opportunities and her child being harassed at school. Our own Minister of Health, Dr. the Honorable Christopher Tufton, had to go on national TV to try and fix her reputation. Can you imagine? To be in a place trying to educate others, or to even be an HIV-positive person, only to be turned into a victim of malicious gossip. Madam Speaker, esteemed members of Parliament, distinguished guests, and my fellow Jamaicans, an individual's HIV status is nobody's business. And disclosing it without consent, especially to harm them, is a violation of their privacy, dignity, and basic human rights. It leads to stigmatization, discrimination, and discourages others from seeking testing or treatment, fearing that their status may be exposed. This issue is worsened by the spread of misinformation about HIV on social media, furthering increasing the risk of new infections. Because if everybody a chatty a road, you're not most afraid. Madam Speaker, to protect peace, privacy, and dignity, I propose that we legally prosecute individuals who intentionally disclose someone's HIV status without consent. We should hold them to the same standards as medical professions. If we are charged doctor and nurse, why you feel like you above the law? No one is above the law. So let's broaden it. Broaden the existing legislation to include the average Jamaican citizen. Additionally, I recommend that spreading intentional misinformation about HIV transmission and treatment be classified as public mischief under Jamaican law, holding individuals accountable for causing harm through false information. You know, when a granny say you chat too much, this is the perfect example. Criminalizing malicious disclosure of HIV status is crucial in protecting the rights of those living with HIV, reducing stigma, and promoting responsibility in handling sensitive health information. Madam Speaker, let us come together to protect privacy, preserve dignity. Let the law speak louder than gossip. I thank you.
Thank you, Member.
Madam Speaker, I now move that the motion be approved.
The question is that the motion be approved. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. House Leader?
Madam Speaker, I now move for the recommittal of the item statements by ministers.
The question is that the item statements by ministers be recommitted. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Please welcome from Southern St. James, Prime Minister Davian Winstanley.
Madam Speaker, the youth have spoken. The bill has been signed and delivered. Now, a time for me seal it. This 15th sitting of the National Youth Parliament has curated some of the best policy solutions for the future of Jamaica. At its core, we emphasize that the youth must remain central to every process where it concerns to the constitutional reform. We refuse to be relegated to the back burner. Madam Speaker, specially invited guests, and my fellow youth parliamentarians, good afternoon. As Prime Minister of this sitting, I am proud to announce that my ministers have proposed practical solutions to these issues presented. Lack of inclusivity in the constitutional reform process, insensitivities in the inefficiencies in the Ananda alert system, limited access to health care for NCDs, overwhelming case backlogs in our judicial system, and HIV prevention. Madam Speaker, we sat at the drawing board and we discussed thoroughly on the way forward. On this issue, the Constitutional Reform website, we cannot afford to be restructuring the Jamaican constitution, yet have a lack of information accessible for the average Jamaican to understand. We must seek to establish a well-informed population as we transition to a republic, utilize the home-built artificial intelligence, Yardi Republic, yes, as we are Yardi Republic, we are meeting the Jamaican people where they are. We are providing instant answers in standard English and our mother tongue, Patois, to all questions raised. By tapping into AI technology, which is widely used by our youth, we are empowering our population. As said by Francis Bacon, knowledge is power. To address citizen safety, we proposed a real-time SMS alert system, 876-SAFE, to ensure nationwide updates on missing persons to all citizens, regardless of their telecommunications providers. Yes. The Ananda alert system is inefficient and needs a reboot. It's time for effective solutions that keep our people safe. We are in a national state of emergency. What checkpoint can't fix. On a Salt Spring or Tivoli rainfall, as Masika said, rainfall upon everybody's roof. We need the collective effort of our citizens to aid in protecting each other. It takes a village. Additionally, we propose greater promotion of jam decks with enhanced accessibility for rural areas through pre-installed apps on devices provided by Flow and Digicel. Let it be known that this government, from Cornwall through Middlesex and over Surrey, has been assiduously working. From coordinating sessions on mental health awareness and conducting health fairs and addressing youth safety and security. This government is a government of action. our government has proposed groundbreaking initiatives like artificial intelligence integration, which aims to boost youth participation in constitutional reform, harnessing technology for progress. Next is safety through technology, where the 876 Safe app is designed to make Jamaica a safer place, and the promotion of Jamdex for seamless transactions. Critics may claim that we are glued to our phones, but let me tell you something you don't know. We are embracing technology to revolutionize solutions for the nation. We voice concerns about the impact of HIV on vulnerable communities with limited access to health care. To combat non-communicable diseases, we've championed agriculture in schools to provide healthier food options while reinforcing the ban on sugary drinks in schools. This government will prioritize the health and wellness of our youth. Our government addressed the backlog of pending cases in the judicial system. We advocated for a formal policy to ensure trials commence within 3 years, expanded plea bargaining for minor cases, increased utilization of restorative justice, child diversion, and victim services programs. Yes, we already have the tools and we know how to make them work. Madam Speaker, may I force all of them solutions upon you, and you have to accept it. We are determined to turn on the light because we cannot progress in darkness at all. And if you never knew, I'm not really able to see without my glasses, so imagine me. It would be remiss of me to not express gratitude to the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information through the Youth and Adolescent Policy Divisions, Ms. Yannick Williams, Mrs. Simone Campbell, Mr. Orlando Pinto, Mr. Guyan Mitchell, Ms. Lee Ann Walker, and Ms. Ashley Aird. Facilitators for assisting us with the speeches: Orville Levy, Yannick Mendez, Tony and Mundell, Angeli Henry Fennell, Andrew Johnson, who is hailing from the YACJ and county support representatives. Sabrina Barnes, where are you? Shalika Dehaney, Taylor Woolery Eugene, Morgan Kellier, our legal mastermind that was always able to keep us in line and in check with current legislations. Tajay Wallen and Kerdane Eccleston, Ricardo Brooks, Cleveland Tomlinson, Xavier McFarlane, Ramon Matthews from the Jamaica Association for Debating and Empowerment, which is also known as JADE. Shanique Bolden and Shaniel Allen, UNAIDS and Jayan, Mr. Javian Nelson, Mr. Demoy Whiteley, MOJ, Mr. Javon Gordon, and our drill master for this weekend, Mr. Malik Kellier. Thank you, ministers, senators, and opposition spokespersons for their words of encouragement, the staff of the House of Parliament for taking us through procedures, members of the media and for coverage and to review this moment in history and our family and loved ones to view. To you, my fellow youth parliamentarians, it was a pleasure to share this experience, this glorious experience with you all. The leaders of today, the leaders of tomorrow. A truly resilient set of minds. As the dancehall artist Alkaline said, no matter what them try run up with pressure, we not let the game. I implore you to continue your journey in leadership. It is clear that we deserve a next term. The work is done. We are the youth of Jamaica. I mean, I don't say who to stop with. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Please help me welcome, coming from Southern St. Catherine, Leader of the Opposition, Jordan Forrest.
Madam Speaker, before I start, I would like to request that this chamber have a moment of silence for the youths that have passed away, as well as the youths of Jamaica that have lost a loved one this year. Thank you. Madam Speaker, suspect says this House of Parliament has made a drastic impact. Madam Speaker, as we reflect on the unforgettable day, I am reminded of the words from 2 Corinthians 6, verse 4 to 5, which say, "We commend ourselves in every way, in great endurance, in troubles, hardships, and distresses, in hard work, sleepless nights, and even hunger." Madam Speaker, we can all recall the email we stumbled upon on June 3rd, inviting us to accept the call to leadership in the 15th sitting. And today, here we are, representing Jamaican youths, the bold, the brilliant, and the unrelenting, from all walks of life, gathered in this chamber as one united voice of change. Let us not forget our fellow members online, media personnel, who have been just as impactful. We see you. We applaud you. And trust me, if there's one thing I'm certain about, only did I feel an impact. So, Madam Speaker, let's talk about impact. Suspects say every motion moved today, I feel an impact. Let us reflect on incredible work done here today. Madam Speaker, we dove deep into the issue of constitutional reform, questioning the presence of outdated colonial laws that have no place in modern Jamaica. As my fellow members of Parliament said, that the Saving Laws Clause and other likes it represents a colonial mindset, Madam Speaker, a plantation mindset, Madam Speaker, a bush mindset, Madam Speaker, and they have no place in our Constitution, Madam Speaker. Honorable House, as Jamaica embraces the 5th Industrial Revolution, technology must advance both our economy and democracy. We propose redesigning the Cybercrimes Act with stronger penalties, updated definitions for threats like deepfakes, cryptocurrency crimes, and an increased public awareness. Additionally, we emphasize the role of technology in reviving voter engagement, highlighting its potential to safeguard democracy and empowering citizens. Madam Speaker, we tackle the critical issue of non-communicable diseases among youths, focusing on how to empower consumers to make healthier food choices. The discussions highlighted the need for policy-driven solutions, including education, better food labeling, and affordable nutritious options to secure a healthier future for the youths of Jamaica. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, our colleagues were very mindful, very demure, when addressing the motions on social justice, from accessing and utilizing alternative justice services to equality in education and opportunities. Again, justice delayed. Again, justice delayed is?
Justice denied.
Justice delayed is?
Justice denied.
All right. Madam Speaker, as my colleagues emphasized on the culture of hypersexualization from the entertainment industry, that seems to be correlated to the increase in the spread of sexually transmitted diseases. They call for protection for persons who have contracted the diseases. We on either sides of the chamber understand that one hand can't clap. Both sides, male and female, opposition and government, must work together and hold each other accountable. And in acknowledging this truth, we did have to leave an impact. Hear, hear, hear. Madam Speaker, I now take the esteemed privilege to express gratitude to those who made this impactful day a reality. The Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information. Shout out to Ms. Simone Campbell, Mr. Pinton. We see you guys, and we see the hard work you have put in. Hear, hear. The Houses of Parliament, the staff members, we thank you for having us today. The YACJ, Youth Advisory Council of Jamaica. Mr. Andrew, we see you. Ms. Yannick, we see you guys. Again, thank you. The Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network, we see the hard work you guys are doing as it relates to the Youth Nutrition Plan, and we thank you for your deliberate work in that area. And to our mentors, organizers, partners, and facilitators, we love you guys. And every single soul who contributed to this historic 15th sitting of the National Youth Parliament, we thank you. Hear, hear. Again, we are forever grateful for your guidance and support as we chart the path forward for Jamaica. Madam Speaker, as we bring this session full circle, it would be remiss of me not to mention that applications for the 16th cohort of the National Youth Parliament are now open. Hear, hear. Hear, hear. To the youths of Jamaica, me I urge all of uno, we call, claim your seat at the table. Let your voice be heard. Grow your leadership skills. Learn the art of policy development. This is your opportunity to make an impact and shape the future of Jamaica. Hear, hear. Hear, hear. Now, Honorable House, as we close, I share this strong sentiment. Trust me, it's a really strong sentiment. We call on the government to prioritize the motions that moved in this House today and amplify the voices of the youth in a meaningful way. To you, my fellow youths of Jamaica, I make this plea. Never stop making an impact. Whether your contributions are big or small, they matter. Be bold. Be persistent. When I tell you, take up space. Spread out across the island and continue to fight for the Jamaica we deserve. Honorable House, you know, see, we're coming at them hometown. And left an impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Opposition Leader. House Leader.
Madam Speaker, it is not contemplated for us to do any further business today. I therefore ask that the House adjourn sine die.
Members, the question is that the House do now adjourn sine die. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. This Honorable House now stands adjourned.